Well, it seems inevitable that the United States will attack those who carried out the attack on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. It is seemingly only a matter of time. But what will we learn from retaliation, and what can we then expect? Edward Peck will be discussing those questions right now. He's a former U.S. ambassador to Baghdad and a former deputy director of the Cabinet Task Force on Terrorism. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
The administration is under pressure to do something big and decisive, and we hear people on the streets saying, blow them up, just bomb them. But then when you ask who the them is, that's where it gets problematic, because Osama bin Laden apparently has cells in 20 countries. We seem to be focusing on Afghanistan, but even if we blew up the entire country, is that going to end this problem?
No. What you do is and the government has to do it. This is a democracy. And the people of this country want the government to do something, so indeed the government will. We have ample cause, I think, now. But what you're going to do is rush out and strike viciously at the symptoms, and you're not going to do anything about the causes. And so at the end of all of that, you got lots of more dead people, but you probably haven't gained that much ground, except perhaps psychologically in this country. And you may at the same time generate a lot more animosity than we had even to begin with.
Ambassador Peck, you know how Saddam Hussein works. You know how Iraq operates. You know that he's probably happy about what happened. What do we do, if anything, to connect him? And if there is any connection between Saddam Hussein and what happened here, do we attack Baghdad?
Well, we've been attacking Baghdad, as you know, for the last 10 years.
Well, the no-fly zone, certainly, but Baghdad itself.
Well, we've actually attacked Baghdad, too, as you perhaps recall, even this network covering the bombs and the explosions back in the Operation Desert Fox.
Well, sure.
Yeah. And see, the thing that contributes to all of this is the fact that the no-fly zones are illegal. We have no right to do it. But the simple fact of the matter is that nobody can stop us, because we feel we're justified in doing it, and so we do it, and even in concert, it cannot be prevented by anybody out there. So that we have been bombing Iraq whenever we feel like it for the last 10 years. And there are an awful lot of people out there, the rest of the world, who don't think that we have the right to do that.
Well, you say we don't have the right to do that, but the no-fly zones were instituted as part of the terms of the ceasefire, which ended the Gulf War.
Patty Ann, I'm sorry, they weren't. The no-fly zones were imposed by the United States and its ally, the former Great Britain, through the well-known international principle of we're bigger and stronger than you are, and you can't stop us. There's no UN resolution. There's no agreement. We have decided to interpret the end of the war as giving us the right to do this. It makes a lot of people unhappy, and I'm not sure it accomplishes a great deal either.
Well, Ambassador Peck,
Please.
I'm thinking of a man named Chamberlain back in the 30s who had such a strong adherence to the orderly world and the rule of law, et cetera, that he had become accustomed to, that he lost sight of precisely what it was that a madman like Adolf Hitler was doing. And unfortunately, there were too many people like him who, in order to adhere to those specific rules of law, allowed Hitler to get away with an awful lot. Some people are saying the same thing is happening now with not only Osama bin Laden, not only those in Afghanistan who support him, but people like Saddam Hussein, too, because of adherence to these specific little rules, is able to get away with murder.
Well, the specific little rules are what we base our entire conduct on.
But there comes a point in which, and we came to that point Tuesday, Ambassador, in which those rules have to be looked at again and have to be taken in context with massive, massive loss of human life and a change of the rules. In effect, wasn't it a very significant change of the rules that took effect last week?
Yeah, indeed. They came to do to us what they perceive. It doesn't make them right. But what they perceive is we've been doing the same thing now for a long time in various parts of the world. Doesn't make them right or us wrong. Don't misunderstand me. But the only thing anybody has
I just have to stop you about it. We've been doing the same thing around the world?
We've been, you want a list of the countries that we've bombed and invaded over the last 25 years?
In what country have we rammed a plane loaded with fuel through a known civilian center, such as was done this week. Excuse me, Ambassador, but I can't think of a precedent for this week anywhere in the world, certainly not one committed by the United States.
Certainly not. We've never had to do that because we have untrammeled military force. These people are terrorists. They resort to that because they can't take us on head on, nor should they even try. They can't. But the point is that some of the things that we have done in the firm, honest belief that we are advancing the cause of justice, human rights, and freedom and all of that are not perceived that way by the people that we've bombed. I offer you Panama. I give you Haiti. Take Cambodia. What about Iraq?
All right. Well, a lot to discuss with those countries, but unfortunately, we're going to have to end it there. Edward Peck, former ambassador to Iraq, thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure.